I built this bow in 25 minutes without tillering, and I don't mean 25 minutes of video footage. I mean 25 minutes of real life. It shoots pretty good. The challenge was we had 30 minutes to build a bow and a bowstring. Those entire 30 minutes are uncut, unedited if you want to go watch that. But the video today is how to build a bow without tillering. Step-by-step tutorial. If this is your first bow, this is a great one to try out, or if tillering's been a headache, which it is for a lot of people. Let's do it. Okay, we ready?
Yep.
What's up everyone, I missed you. Let's get into this bow build. I'm calling this the no-tiller bow build. The first thing we need to do is start with layout. With this bow specifically, it's very important to be particular because the tillering is done in the layout rather than later on. So I'm going to give you the measurements exactly that you need to get a 40-pound bow. I'm using a 72-inch hickory stave. If you have trouble tillering, the longer the bow, the easier the tillering is. Mark the center of your stave. This is going to be the center of your handle. And then mark 4 inches on either side for an 8-inch handle. I mark the middle of the width and then measure 1/2 inch on either side because I want a 1-inch wide handle. And then I'm just going to draw some natural curves out to the limbs. Here's an example of a finished bow handle. This is what we're going for. Mark the middle of the end of the limb and measure 3/8 of an inch on either side. This will give us a 3/4 inch limb tip. Taper this line back to the handle. Keeping this precise is useful for the no-tiller method. Now hold on to your horses because I'm kind of going quick, but just pause it if you need to. The layout's essential and probably the most important part of this build. But if you're watching for entertainment, it's kind of boring, you got to admit. With a hickory bow like this, I'm just gonna saw and sand through everything. With the Osage self bow, I'm gonna follow the grain and the growth rings, but we have to grunt through the wood. We're not working with the wood today, really. That's super important to understand because if you take a draw knife to this style of bow, it's going to chip it out and your bow's not going to work. Like this. That's why grain and growth rings are super important for specific bows, but for other types of bows they're not important. So you can make a bow out of this, but you would want to avoid using the growth rings. Now some wood can't handle it without using the growth rings and the grain, that's why we have to do it. But if I were to use a draw knife on this bow, this is a good example of what would happen. It's just gonna split all the way down through following the grain. That's why you wanna work with the wood most of the time, but with hickory, it's strong enough you don't have to. Oh, and don't go get ahead of yourself because we're not worrying about the thickness yet. We're just worrying about tapering the limbs perfectly. I used a bandsaw on this challenge to follow the lines. Now you could use any saw. Here's an example. If you don't have a bandsaw, you can just use a pole saw or any type of handsaw to follow the curvature that you want. It's gonna take longer, but you can still get good results. This is just like a $15 one I got from Home Depot. But you really can get good results still, especially with the vise. Don't let your lack of space or your lack of tools stop you. I started building bows in an apartment with my fingernails to scrape the wood off. And a coping saw is even cheaper and can be extremely useful because you can cut the curvature of the handle with that. I lost mine, or else I would show you. You want the limbs to have a perfect continuous taper, and you want the top and bottom limb to be the exact same. I'm using the big sander here to make sure they are the same. With that, you could absolutely do the tillering on a sander like this, or even one like this. If you want to buy a sander for bow making, I'd recommend Facebook, Marketplace, or Craigslist. I have found good used small belt sanders on Marketplace for the same cost of dinner, at least for a family of 4. Or if you're gonna get a new one, this one's a convertible where you can swap out the belt for a spindle just on one side. You put this plate in, and then you can have 2 tools in one if it's just for bow making. The size of the sander does not matter as much as having one. Now you could rasp this entire thing, but then you're gonna have to do some tillering. But for the no tillering method, you do need some sort of belt sander. Actually, some of you who are dedicated can do it probably without a belt sander because you get your marks on both sides. You can rasp down to the marks and just pay attention. Take your time, and once you get to the marks, it's the same as using a belt sander. It's just gonna take longer. But Kramer, I thought you started an apartment. I can't use a power tool in an apartment. What I've learned is if you got a good vacuum, it can clean up pretty well, as long as you finish before your wife gets home. I'm not very good at sarcasm, so just to be clear, I am not responsible for evictions and divorces. Now that our limbs are perfectly tapered, we can tiller the bow in this next step completely. We'll start with a thicker limb at the handle, and then we'll do a continuous taper all the way down to the tip of the limb. This is determining how the bow bends. Be precise with your marks and measurements, and then all you have to do is remove the material to the thickness of the wood. It's like the old story of the David statue with Da Vinci and how he just saw the block of marble and considered that he only needed to remove what was unnecessary, and then his beautiful, perfect statue would be in place. It's the same idea here. I am the Da Vinci of bow making. But I'm still trying to learn how to read. Haven't quite cracked that nut yet. Oh, and by the way, if you're taking like a test in school, Michelangelo carved the statue, or Michelangelo. I was just taking after my dad and seeing if you guys were paying attention. For a 40-pound bow that's 72 inches long, I want you to start at a 1/2 inch thickness at the handle and go down to a 3/8 thickness at the limb tip. That taper ratio is going to give you a pretty even tiller, especially on a 72-inch hickory bow. I will leave the handle full thickness though, so I angle out when we get to the handle section. I carefully cut down with the bandsaw right outside the pencil line. Then I finish on the sander with even passes all the way along the limb until I reach my pencil line. Since this is my second time doing this, I'm pretty much an expert by now, so I use a Dremel tool and I go pretty quickly. But instead of that, use a chainsaw file to file in the string grooves if you don't have a Dremel tool. I put a bowstring on it as soon as I can, just to make sure that I didn't screw something up and that the limbs are looking even, which they are, so now I know I just need to continue to remove down the rest of the way. And now that I know that the limbs are even, I know that I just need to remove material evenly on both sides until I hit my intended draw weight. How I accomplish this is by using the sander and taking evenly pressured passes. For this bow, I knew I had a little bit more to go, so I took 10 passes on each limb, and I'm counting each time. It's a super fast, efficient, even weighted tiller. Now that I've made it to my line, I'm putting the string on with a higher brace height to see where we're at on draw weight. A quick little twisty twist to the tillering string helps me accomplish this flawlessly. Now that I've got the right size string on it, let's test it on my tillering tree for draw weight. Essentially. Okay, cool.
Oh, see, might have nailed it.
Yeah, I'm about 2 pounds too heavy. But we can fix that up with some 100 grit so it's a little smoother for us. What do you say? Now you can finish out with hand sanding or using a very expensive sander like this one. Whatever you want to do, but you basically can just sand out the scratch marks. I'll go 100, maybe 180, maybe 220 after that if I feel like it, but in this challenge I just went to 100 so that I could finish as quick as possible. And that final sanding will generally take 2 to 3 pounds out of the draw weight. Therefore, stopping a little heavy on the draw weight's not always a bad idea.
Time.
Even got a finish on it. All right, that time turned out pretty good. So, I mean, not too bad of a tiller for just a belt sander. Top limb is bending slightly more. I think we probably have a 1/4 inch positive, which is kind of what I generally look for. So, yeah. About 3/16 positive tiller. Shoot it. A positive tiller will make it shoot smoother. How you accomplish this in this manner is just take 5 extra passes on the top limb on the belt sander, making the top limb bend a little more, making the bow shoot a little bit smoother. I didn't have time in the challenge, but the things I would have fixed is I probably would have shaped the tip overlay more like this one, made it look a little cleaner than just keeping it boxy. I also would have cleaned up the handle a little bit more and added a leather handle. I think that's very comfortable when you're shooting off the hand, and I like that style. And then really it's final sanding. If you're trying to build a hickory bow like this for the first time, I'd give yourself a full afternoon, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours, because you want to take your time to get it right. When I built this bow here, I did a leather handle, and I did an in-depth dive on how I would build this as your first bow. Watch that for your next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. All right, now that there's only 10% of you here, let's hang out for a minute because I'm gonna give a little bit of a life update. So if you're interested, stick around. If not, enjoy your next video. Let's shoot some arrows too. So most of you know Some of you know that I sold Shatterproof Archery, the business I've grown for 5 years. I sold it to my brother, which is a very good thing. And the reason I sold it is so that I could do YouTube full time. That's the quick version. You can go watch the full video if you're interested in seeing all the details on that. But with that being said, there's a transition period going on right now where I'm transferring everything over to him, and things are nuts. So what you can expect is come January 2025, this will be my full-time job, which is the first time I've ever done YouTube as full-time. Like, that's going to be the first time I've done it without having a business on the side. I started Shatterproof Archery way back before I was even before I made a cent from YouTube. So with that being said, you can expect a lot more videos coming in January. In the meantime, I'm going to try to post as consistently as I can. But that's not it. There's some really cool news as well. The cool news is I'm buying some property and I am moving out of the city, which is really exciting for me because that's going to open up a lot of opportunities to build bows. So we close on the property in 10 days. My wife's a real estate agent. Everything looks clean. We should be able to get that, no doubt. After that, it's just raw land we're going to build. So building the workshop is going to be something that's happening soon, a work studio that I'm going to be able to work in. I'm very excited for that. You should be able to see that in 2025 as well. So come January, I'm going to be making videos out in the woods. I'm super excited for this new season of life. Everything has changed in the past few years, and even knowing something's going to change, sometimes there takes a lot of sacrifice to get there. Like, you could have a job, you want to do a job change, but in order to get to that job change, you might need to buckle down for another year and just do what you have to do. Responsibility. With that being said, coming here in the next 12 months, some things I've been working towards for 10 years is coming to be, and I'm extremely excited for it. And I'm excited to finally be able to do the job I've been wanting to do, which is YouTube, if I can pull it off. I'm kind of in that middle ground of a YouTuber, like not successful, but kind of in the middle ground. We need to double the YouTube channel to make this thing work. So let's do it. That is the current life update. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you around. I'll see you a whole lot more frequently. For those who have followed for a long time, thank you so much. I don't say it enough, but it really does mean a lot. It still blows my mind that somebody would watch one of my videos and actually finds it even remotely interesting, let alone you stuck to this point in this video. You must be nuts. I'm an introverted, nerdy, socially awkward, dyslexic person who's talking to a camera. So that's the labels. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying it blows my mind that you're here, and I want to thank you for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.